Good morning, good noon, good afternoon, good evening, good night. It's your Oluna here again, bringing you the new episode of Opera Readers Season 2. Well, today we're talking about the marriage of Figaro. This is a long four acts opera by Mozart, and there is no big death, not like the other large opera that is composed by Verdi or Puccini per se. And there's no one dying, no gods, no sakura, and it is just a house full with people who lie to each other, sneak around the corners, and fall in and out of love, and still manage to make it till the end together. Well, feels like our contemporary society right now. So Mozart composed The Marriage of Figaro in 1786. He was 30 years old and living in Vienna. He was working fast. The opera was based on a French play by this French guy, which I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I guess is Beaumarchais. And that play had been banned for being too political, and it showed a servant outsmarting a nobleman, which is definitely not allowed back then. And it talked openly about classes, powers, and abuses. Is exactly why it got banned. So yeah, that was a little bit too much for some sensitive nobleman who held power back then. But Mozart and his libertas, Lord Renzo da Ponte, didn't care that much. They like it, so they turned it into an opera anyways. So Mozart's version is full of humor, but it isn't just completely a joke. It is a comedy, of course, for sure. But it is not only because it is funny on the surface, but one thing is that looks upon the surface, this entire story, the house is very, very close to falling apart, but somehow it doesn't. And the story is quite simple, but yet complicated. So the whole opera takes place in one day in one house. Figaro, the count's servant, is getting ready to marry Susanna, who is the countess' maid. And they're smart, fast, and in love, and they want to be married before anything can possibly go wrong. But something already is wrong because the count wants Susanna for himself. He has been thinking about reinstating an old law, one that would let him sleep with any servant right before their their husband does. Well, yeah, that's the feudalism society, and he says he won't do it, but no one actually believes him. And Figaro gets angry. I mean, no one wants their wife to sleep with another man by force, right? And then Susanna is already two steps ahead, like Nicolado Avocado. She's been dodging the Count's advances. She and Figaro decide to trap him instead, but they are not the only one with plans, because we have Marcelina who wants to marry Figaro too. She once lent him money, and now she wants to use the debts as a way to force him into marriage with her. And so that she just teams up with Bartolo, who still holds a grudge from a different story. And Basilio, the music teacher, watches everything and gossips about it all. Meanwhile, the Countess is heartbroken because her husband no longer loves her the way that he used to, and now he wants to sleep with another woman. But instead of giving up, she decides to join the fight, and she wants him to be the man that he was once was. I mean, there is never a chance for a man to come back. Yeah, according to my understanding. And there also comes Chulibino, and she's a teenage who can stop falling in love, and he flirts with everyone, especially with the countess, and causes more trouble than he means to. His character makes the house feels real, and big house are never quiet. Yeah, I feel like this as the society gets smaller, as the community is getting smaller, people literally just there's more relationship. There's a more complicated relationship web that's going on, and they're full of people who likes chulupino and people who complicate things just by being there. And at the end of the opera, Figaro and Susanna get married, but not before confusion, disgust, and one last trick. The Countess and Susanna switch outfit, and the Count thinks he's seducing Susanna, and he ends up begging forgiveness from his wife, and she gives it to him, not because he deserves it, but well, she still wants love from him. So the mass production doesn't try to be modern. Yay, finally, because I mean, not because I dislike the modern production they provided, but let's just put it this way. Yeah, not that many people are satisfied with every single mass modern production, so I am possibly one of them. So yeah, I like the fact that is old. It keeps the wigs, the coats, and the corsets. And the house is grand. The ceilings are pretty much high, and there are rooms behind doors and the stairs that leads nowhere. Uh, Everything feels a little too big. That's the point, right? People are always walking past each other and listening through walls, watching when they're not supposed to. And it's a house where secrets echo. And the costumes help tell the story because servants move fast, they wear lighter fabrics, they carry things, but the count walks very slowly and his clothes are thick and gold. The countess wears white but stays still and she only moves when she is ready. And in the final act, the stage becomes a garden. The trees are fake, but the shadows are real. It gets harder to see who is who. That's the purpose. Yeah, right? And people pretend not to recognize each other, but the music always know. And that's what keeps the truth going. The production doesn't force the jokes, it let the moment out and let themselves. And it trusts the audience. That's a rare thing to say. But, and that is the reason why it works. And, because it is a comedy, right? So it actually requires quite a lot from the singers because they have to switch back and forth from different emotions and also incorporate acting in it. And I think everyone did a fair job. So Figaro is sung by Michael Samuel, and he is funny but not too silly. He has his sound clever without sounding smug, and Samuel did a good job on it. In the first act, his voice is smooth like milk or chocolate, and he teases Susanna and he plots against the Count. But in Act 4, when he thinks Susanna has betrayed him, he gets a little bit quiet and his tone changes into something that is kind of sad, and you can hear he is actually hurt, not just only angry alone, and that's what makes him real. And we have Susanna played by Jacqueline Stocker, and she is not that kind of heavy soprano that we have in Verdi's Puccini or Wagner operas, but rather it is something lighter. And her voice is clear, light, and fast. She speaks more than anyone else in the opera because she's the main character. And she keeps the whole plot moving. And uh, Stalker has a really nice control in the timing. She never rushed, but never dragged either. And her performance in Act 4 in the aria De Veni was soft but strong, and she sounded like she was whispering something true into the night. And we have the Count played by Joshua Hopkins. His role isn't easy because she have to act like the quotation mark villain of this opera, and so she has to sound powerful in order to suit the role that he's in, but also insecure. he has to flirt, threaten, and apologize all in one night, in 4 acts, in 3 hours and 30 minutes. And Hopkins did well because his voice stayed the kind of elegant count tone even when he lost control. And in his final moment, when he begs for the Countess to forgive him, he finally sounds a bit more honest and start to pull off his stable face, yeah, and not because he is a new man, but because for once he finally says what he truly feels, and it's finally that kind of negative emotions that come out of such an high position person. Yeah. And we have the Countess played by Federica Lombardi, who sings two of the most beautiful arias in this opera, Perché Amor, is sad and quiet, and Dove Sono is even more heartbreaking. The soprano singing her, which is Lombardi, didn't push, but she let the phrases go stretch naturally and pretty much stand still. But her voice is still moving, and you can hear her thinking, hoping, and waiting. Especially, she is such a figure that is dedicated to love. Yeah, and that's what a countess does. She waits for the love to come back, right? Even though from a 21st century perspective is kind of off, but you know, it isn't all opera, and the volumes changes a lot in the 300 years that pass it. And we have Chulubino, who sung by Sunlight Purse, a mezzo soprano in a pantry, and her voice sounds young and excited, and always about to run out of breath. And she noted the non poet was full of the kind of nervously joy, and in Act 2, the hiding scene, she jumps and panics and sounds like someone who had no idea about what she was doing, but meant every word. And the smaller role sounds decent too. This production is just that delighted, and I think the cast went pretty well. Yeah, and Mozart wrote this opera that feels alive because every own character got their own rhythm, and even furthermore their own motif, because it feels like they got their own motif, right? Because every character has such a different characteristic that they have. For example, we have smart and fast and clever Susanna, and we have this countess who is so dedicated to love. Everyone have their own theme, and every change in the mood echoes with the orchestra. The overture starts with this rush of strings and never stops moving. Even in the slow part, it still feels like something is coming, and there isn't a single waste notes. Otherwise, how can Mozart be one of the most famous composer, right? And there's no empty pauses. It is the recitatives, the talking parts between the arias are full with actions, and people interrupt each other and they talk at the same time, but the music never loses track. By the music I mean the composition. Yeah, and each act ends with an assembly. 6 or more people sing at once, all different thoughts. The music, the composition layers their feeling without confusion, and that is so genius. You don't just hear harmony, but more arguments, misunderstandings, and real conversations that is hidden underneath the score. And the orchestra, I mean, I like the mass orchestra. It did pretty well, and bravo for conductor Joanna Mouse was. And to be honest, I would like to see more. This is her Met debut actually. This young Germany woman, And to be honest, I would definitely like to see more women conductor at the math stage, right? And you can see a small string run when someone hesitates, a sudden pause when a lie is cut, a soft horn when the countess remembers something that she can't say aloud. Oh yeah. Well, you see how the orchestra and the composition that went together, that hidden story that is underneath the score. And the marriage of Figaro is definitely worth seeing. First of all, it's great. Second of all, is great. Like, yeah, if you haven't seen it before, then you should definitely go because this is one of the most remarkable operas in the history. And also, I kind of like the math setting this time. It feels warm, and the story is kind of delighted. Yeah, well, so thank you so much for listening. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or opinions on what I said, or you want me to go deeper next time for some criticism, yeah, I mean, I still have some disappointment towards this production and some singers, but yeah, I didn't roll them out, and I didn't plan to say it out publicly, even though I know I probably should. But yeah, I feel like I should probably insert some more of a criticism and be more honest in my podcast. So I think in my next episode I'll start inserting some negative comments because uh, I still feels like it's my obligation to do so, not only to comment on the good part, but also try my best to diagnose the performance. Yeah, so thank you so much for listening, and you can email me at aulindatang@gmail.com. It is AULINDATANG@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. Yay. See you in my next episode. Bye. Next episode is about I already wrote the score. I already wrote the script. It's just I don't know when will I publish it. Oh yeah, when will I record it? It is about the Barber of Sevilla. Yeah. Okay. See you in my next episode. Bye.